Hello beauties, welcome back to my channel Cyrus Creations, and I believe you all are doing great. If you're new to my channel, thank you for stopping by, and I'm sure you're gonna find so many cooking, sewing and DIY projects over here. Today I'm here with another sewing project, and if you are following my sewing list, Sewing with Syra, you're gonna see that we are almost ready to hit 100 sewing videos on my channel, so I'm pretty excited for that as well. Today I'm gonna teach you how to create this beautifully Christmas buffalo check dress. This dress is made out of a men buffalo check shirt. You can take any kind of shirt and we're gonna transfer into a female version dress. So let's go ahead and start it. So I have my buffalo check beautiful Christmas shirt here, which I love it. Me and my husband have a matching, but this year I wanted to turn this into a more girly style, especially since I wanted to fix a shoulder because this shirt is ready-made and the shoulders are a little bigger over me. So while I want to do that project, I thought I can actually give this shirt a new look. So we are creating a new look of this shirt together. So first of all, I'm just going to take a measurement from shoulder to, so I need a prepared top 15 inches, but I will cut a 16 inches for the seam allowance inside after prepared. Okay, so you go according to your the top length. I'm gonna cut 16 inches, and for this I'm just taking my ruler and marking around 60 inches. All right, and then we're just gonna take our joints together. All right, now it's time to cut it. All right, now it's time to cut. All right, we will save this bottom piece for other stuff. I'll show you later. All right, so now, okay, since I had told you I need a one full inch from my shoulders, so since we are doing this project, so make sure you always left the fabric for seam allowance. So that's mean I just gonna take a ½ inch from both sides and a ½ inch I'm gonna use as a seam allowance, because you cannot cut full 1 inch and then you use a ½ inch other to do your seam allowance. In that way you are taking a 1½ inch. So for taking a 1 full inch, you have to take a ½ inch cutting and ½ inch seam allowance. Alright, and we're just gonna start cutting. Because I'm using a different sleeves, so that's why I'm not much worried about. This thing, but we're still gonna use this fabric. All right, so this part is done. Cutting take more time, so once your cutting is done for any project, that means your half of project is already done. And if you notice here, we have here fitting lines, which make a nice fitting, especially with the woven projects. I like to do always, this inside stitch on the side. So if your shirt didn't have that, just go ahead and also mark this on right of your the chest area. Okay, so but I gonna also mark the center fitting, since this t-shirt we are creating into a dress, I want to have a center fitting as well. So from the same length from here to here, you can see, you can follow these directions, and we're gonna keep 8 inches distance. For that, I'm gonna flip my shirt because we're gonna sew from back. All right, so just first mark your full length fitting, which is 23 inches. Make sure you find your center of a fitting, which should be, so find the center of your total length of this fitting is 23 inches. Okay, so for 23, that will be center 11 and a half. So we're just gonna mark 11 and a half in the center, and then from 11 and a half we're gonna take 4 inches. 1 2 3 4 on our both sides. Okay, 1 2 3 4. That sounds great. And just mark it, and then we're just gonna have a straight line. We are just going to mark 6 inches. It's up to you how much you like. It's depending on a person, how much taller you are. Okay, and exactly the same thing we are going for front. The easiest technique is just fold little hair. As you can see, I did it, and mark this side and mark other line, and see how easiest we already got our mark. And simply we are just going to mark 6 inches on these sides as well. All right, so that will be our first ever sewing before we do anything else. We're just gonna take these like this, and I will sew 1/4 inch to angle way and just do back 4th stitch here, and our fitting will be prepared. All right, now the next thing, I just gonna cut the sleeves for my shirt and also the bottom area. So fold this aside, and I have this black chiffon fabric. For this project, I am using almost 1.5 yard. Right, so you can figure out how much you like to have a flow around your dress. So I am taking double size, a little bit less, like a 1.5 length of my fitting, which is bigger than my actual shirt top. We are taking the extra fabric, so that's how we're gonna create the pleats on the bottom of our shirt. All right, so use whatever you have in your hand, and you don't need to go exactly, I mean, mostly I do like a double size of my fitting, but if I don't have enough fabric, I can still take a 1.5 size of my fitting, so you can take according to whatever you have in your hand. All right, so I just folded this from center for ironing, but now it's time to cut this patch. and separate them, because one will be our back and one will be our front. All right, so our front and back bottom fabric is done. All right, we're gonna put this aside as well, because now it's time to cut the shoulders. So once your cutting is doing well, you know, then you know your project will be quicker. So remember, we had to cut the sleeves from our shirt, so I just gonna cut this little length from here, because as I had told you, I feel like little bigger shoulders, you know, so I need a little less. So just measure again from your shoulder to your waist. So first I just gonna cut, because I want to keep the same shape, but I have to cut this extra fabric. All right, so when you're gonna cut your shoulder with the other fabric, as I had told you, remember you have to first should always separate your seam alone, which should be 1/2 inch. All right, so we will separate our 1/2 inch seam alone, and then you can measure your sleeve till your length, and also added your hemming on your cuff. So after taking a 1/2 inch seam alone, you know, from shoulder, now take a length of your sleeve, but also make sure you left enough fabric for hemming your cuff. All right, I hope that makes sense. All right, so now measure again your shoulder with leaving that seam alone on the top. So looks like my prepared shoulder will be 20 inches long, as I have a small sleeves, and the top shoulder will be like a 10 inches. It should be like a 9 inches, but I will take a seam along a little bit from the bottom. So we just gonna take our fabric. As you know, I use a black chiffon for bottom, so I gonna use the same black chiffon for my sleeves as well. So simply I will just fold it. All right, and then fold it again to see how much we need. No, so remember, these are like 4 double fold, so when we will cut from here, then we will have 2 separate sleeves. All right, there's another thing I want to teach you. We also gonna cut seam allowance from sleeves. Okay, it's always good to cut a little bit extra, because you don't want to run low or have a less fabric. Okay, that's how simple it is. All right, just go ahead and cut it. Okay, gently little bit we're gonna remove our fabric. All right, and now just make sure you have enough length. So I need 20 inches prepared. That's mean I'm just gonna cut 21 inches. So I can cut a little more because I wanna see how much fitting I need on my cuff. All right, just in case. All right, so our both sleeves are prepared. We're just gonna separate them. All right, and before sewing, just iron both sleeves separately so you can get the so you can get the center line. All right, and overall our all cutting is done. The leftover fabric which we have from shirt, that's after our project is done. I will show how I'm gonna use that thing. So let's go ahead and now start sewing. All right, so the first thing which we're gonna do, we're gonna sew on those fitting lines by lifting up the top fabric and just fold it. All right, and we are bringing this, if I give you little instructions, like this way. All right, that's our top dot. So we are taking 1/4 inch seam allowance and just making our fitting. That will make a more pretty shape of your fitting. All right, so let's do it. And remember, we have 4 marks to do. We're gonna start by at our dot and gonna secure our thread by stitching back forth. All right, if I show you, something gonna look like this. All right, so I'm gonna prepare other 3 as well, and then I will be back. All right, so the fitting is done. Now the next part is we just gonna attach our sleeves. If I show you, it's very simple, especially we already have prepared. So that's how they're gonna look like something. All right, so simply I show you the design. Okay, so simply we're just gonna put right side inside and the wrong sides outside, and we're gonna attach from dot to dot and corner to corner, and just gonna start sewing around the edges. All right, I just gonna pin up and then I will show you how it's look like. So I have flipped my fabric inside out. That's the easiest way I had show you how to cut your exactly sleeve and also sew them. All right, I'm gonna pin up other sleeve as well. We also gonna do the overlock stitch and the straight stitch. That's how it's gonna make nice. So if you don't have an overlock stitch, just use a zigzag stitch. All right, so once I done with the sleeves, then I will be back to save our time. All right, so after attaching our sleeves, no, I simply just gonna sew from the sides and gonna take that stitch to around my fitting. I will do the hem of my sleeves at the end of my project when I will be doing the bottom hem of my dress. So just go ahead and start sewing from the sides, and then the next process we're gonna start working on our bottom fabric. And as you can see, top of our shirt is done. Now we just have to done with our cuff, which I told you I will gonna do later. And the next part is we just gonna take a bottom fabric, separate each layer, front and back, and we just gonna gather this fabric, you know, with the sewing machine. Just gonna gather this together till we reach our favorite, you know, the fitting of our shirt. Okay, so just gonna, the simple thing which if your sewing machine don't have that function, just put setting on a loose stitch and just do a straight stitch, and then take one thread and start gathering. You know, that's the easiest way you can do it. So I'm gonna do that, then I will be back. So if I show you how I have a, you know, left extra tail around my stitches, so I just gonna take, and this one is a loose stitch, so just take one of thread and just start pulling carefully, because you don't want to break your thread. All right, so by the pulling like this, that's how you're gonna get your fabric gathering as much as you like. All right, so I'm gonna do with both my panels, and then I will be back. All right, so after gathering our bottom fabric together, now the next part is we're just gonna attach them together with our top shirt. All right, and if you notice, I already have removed button from here, and I sew these two, you know, openings together. So when we are going this, you know, sew this fabric together, we're not gonna have a hard time. All right, so that's the only thing. We're just gonna attach front and back, and the rest thing is just gonna sew from the sides, and then we will just have the bottom hem and our sleeves hem. So I just gonna finish tonight just the gatherings at the sides, and tomorrow I will show you how to hem a bottom and from cuff area. Stay tuned. And as you can see, our dress is almost ready. I sewed from the sides, you know, I will iron later. But the next step which I did, I just cut 3 inches wide strips for bottom. I'm gonna use, you know, all around the bottom hemming, and then I'm gonna use the same 3 inches for sleeve cuffs as well. So that's the only thing is left. I had planned I'm gonna edit the pockets on the side, but I might do that project later. But right now I just want to get done with these things before weekend. All right, so let's go ahead and start attaching our strips on the bottom. Okay, so we're just gonna attach our bottom strips we cut for hemming. So I have just opened like 3 inches, you know, seams from sides, so just to have an easy access, because I want to have my stitches inside, not outside. Okay, and then we're just gonna place our strip inside of our dress, and we're just gonna pin up here, because we're just gonna use exactly method like we do with the binder. You know, if you follow my quilt videos, I just gonna sew all around, you know, 1/4 inch distance on the bottom, and then we will flip our strip from inside to out to bring on our actual fabric. Okay, so just go ahead and start sewing all around the edges. this thing. Okay, and the next thing, first we're gonna iron it, okay, and then we're just gonna flip this outside. All right, as you can see, it's flipped nicely outside, and then we're just gonna make one stitch on top and then fold our fabric and then make one stitch bottom and top. All right, that's the way to make this hemming. But first I'm gonna work on the front side. Now we did one side. All right, now both sides are one stitch done. Now we're just gonna flip it and we're gonna sew. All right, I ironed my both panels, that's why you see the fabric looks so flattened. Now we're just gonna flip them because that will help us to have a perfect stitch on top of edge without any bulkiness. Okay, so that's important part, must iron on top of your strips. Okay, so we're just gonna gently pin up our stuff first and then we will be good to sew. I will suggest you first stitch on a bottom edge and then fold and stitch on the top edge. All right, and as you can see how beautifully we have sewed the bottom. Now just the top stitch is left. We're just gonna fold 1/4 inch, okay, and we'll just start pinning up, and then again we're gonna sew on top of this and we will have a beautifully border prepared. And as you can see, the bottom border look very pretty. Now it's time, I just gonna do my cuff on a sleeve. Same technique, same method. And thank you so much for watching our today's sewing episode. As you can see, we have created a beautifully female version of this dress. I can't believe this turned out to very pretty. And not only with these kind of shirts, you can take any kind of shirt or t-shirt and you can use exactly the same method and create a beautifully look. As you can see, we have transformed beautifully, the shoulder fitting, and the cuffs are so comfy, and if I show you the bottom of this hem, it's so neat, and even on the back side you even cannot see any bulkiness going on. So I'm just so much in love with this dress and can't wait to try this on. Comments below if you're gonna try this method and same technique for this dress or any kind of other t-shirt or shirt. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching, and if you really like our today project, please give this video big thumbs up. Feel free to share with your family and friends so more people can learn about the sewings, DIYs and cooking projects on my channel. I really appreciate each one of you for showing and giving my channel so much love and encouragement. You are the reason. That's why I continually keep sharing those all amazing ideas. Love you all. Wishing you all blessed, safe Christmas, and we are so exciting for 2021. So I'm gonna bring a more DIY sewing and cooking projects on my channel. Love you all. Be safe. Bye bye.